have to write with the artist to get a cut and then to get a single, and I've had 6 #1s and none of them were with the artist. They were all outside, and more often than not, the records that I'm on, they're outside songs. Like, I write with the artists, and that's where the relationship comes into play. But it still ends up, for me, just more often than not, they're outside songs.
Why do you think that is? Like, why do you think the song you write with the artist ends up being not the one they cut?
Well, it depends on the artist, because money is changing in music right now and becoming harder to make. A lot of artists are deciding that they need to be writers, where historically being an artist didn't automatically make you a writer, just like being a writer doesn't automatically make you an artist. And there are a lot of songs, or a lot of artists that don't need to write their songs. And I mean, it's such an interesting thing, I think, all these younger artists especially that are really feeling compelled to write their songs when maybe they never have written songs before. Because the money that they would make off of a song being a hit as an artist versus as a writer is astronomically different. Like, times 10. So I feel like it blows my mind sometimes when artists don't see the value in, like, well, it's more valuable to me to have a hit song than to have a third ownership of the publishing of not a hit song.
Do you think it's why some of their careers aren't going, like some of the females that are signed to labels that insist on writing everything on the album, but if they would have gone to you or whether maybe they would have found songs to capture their melodic potential and their vocals, rather than, like, maybe they can't write well enough for their own voice yet even.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm hearing, like, I don't want to say the names, but like, just...
Well, that's what I was about to say.
Vocal coach, like,
I'm not going to say anybody's name, but specifically with a lot of young females, yeah, I will. There are some young females in town that they seem pretty, but it's not even the artists necessarily. The labels seem pretty adamant.
pushing them to write.
Yeah, and I find it so
The
strange.
Taylor movement.
Well, and the records suffer for that, and then they don't get
amazing
played.
vocals, and you're not hearing it because they don't write well enough yet to capture their passion and their potential
Yeah,
vocally.
yeah.
So I think that's why the female aren't on. I think it's why they're not on the radio.
I feel like artists want other artists to write more of their own songs.
They want other artists to write their songs?
Yeah, that's how, like, since I've, well, my whole life, I mean, growing up with bands or singers or anything, I think that artists would prefer if a hit song was written by that artist.
By themselves?
Yeah, well, not necessarily by themselves, with them, and...
But you mean they would like to be a writer on their hit song?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I think so. But, I mean, historically, especially in this genre, I mean, all the big acts...
Especially this genre.
Yeah, they're the big acts, their hits more often than not, it was best song wins.
Right.
And they built careers off of that. And I do think there are some records that suffer right now because they're not chasing the best song.
Sure.
They're chasing that piece of publishing, which again, I just think it's crazy. Like, it's $300,000 versus $3 million. Like, that logic doesn't make sense to me.
So what happens, like, I understand, like, I mean, I'm one of those females who, like, is, you know, writing a lot and loves writing, but feels like I think the best song, no matter who writes it, a good song is a good song. But for someone like me or Stacey or one of us young girls to get a song from a top writer like yourself is, like, near impossible. Would you have any advice on, like, how that would ever transpire?
Well, like, in your position, do you have a deal, like a record deal or a publishing deal?
I just have a management deal.
Okay, like, in your position, you still would need to be writing the songs to meet the writers and to, like, yeah, you kind of have to at that point.
Yeah.
But it's more of just that switch that happens once you get a deal or get a publishing deal or a record deal. But in your position, you do kind of still need to be writing them.
But if you hear an amazing song at the Commodore and you wanted to, you could go up and ask someone, could you put your vocal on that track or something as a artist. There's a lot of amazing writers, like you said, you and your friends were going up.
Yeah.
Like, you can always be looking for an amazing song anywhere right now.
Yeah, and we have, like, I'll have producers that hit me up that are, like, working on a new act or a new artist that doesn't have a deal yet, and they'll, you know, just ask me for a song, and we'll talk about it, and it's like with the understanding, like, yeah, if somebody else with a deal comes along and wants this, we have to give it to them, but I'm happy for you to record this and use this to shop. I mean, that happens a lot, for sure.
What about like John and Kramer? Did she write Love for you guys, or was that like
That was just me and Kat.
that's just work? Like that's kind
Well,
of the thing.
Yeah.
Because she writes too. Right?
She does. She wrote about half of this new record. But she was the same way. I mean, she heard that song and loved it and wanted it to be the single because she loved the song.
Love it. I got you.
But I think that's how it should be as a writer.
Yeah.
Because there are days where there's some artists that do need to write their songs. They're fantastic and they have a very specific thing to say. But then there's others that's not the case. Like it really depends on the artist. Like I don't mean to say no artist should write their songs, but like especially what she's describing, those young people that don't necessarily know who they are yet. And so I'm giving away a third of a song so that they can sit there and have their name on it when me and my friend wrote it for them. Like those are the days that I don't love. Those are the days where you're playing the game. And that's just what you got to do to get a cut. Yes, sir.
Do you ever get like upset because you're pulling a lot of weight because you're producing a lot of these things, and if you're, I'll speak for myself because sometimes I write with people and they know nothing about any of that, and I end up doing all this work, maybe a lot more work, and it starts to add up to me, and it bothers me, and I don't know if you go through that, and if you do,
Oh yeah, dude.
how do you deal with it?
Like 3 times a year, I hit a wall where I feel like used, and so then I just take a break, and then I come back.
Because so much
It's
does
crazy.
fall on the producer. So much falls on the producer.
Yeah, a lot of it falls on. But I mean, I've also set the precedent that I'm maintaining. Like nobody ever told me I had to do things the way that I do. And yeah, people come in with expectations, but I also have the right to say, yeah, let's go demo. Let's get a band to demo this. And so I mean, I can't hold them accountable for my choices.
That's very wise. Yeah, and
I
then
still
you
get
have
pissed
to
off
feel
sometimes.
resentful. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to carry that. And I have had moments where I've had those feelings, and like, you want to try to not let yourself get there. If you
I don't want to be, but how do I like, free myself from that?
Don't do tracks. or
Set
do
boundaries.
them and say, I'm doing this because, yeah, I'm doing more of the work, but I also have a better demo for it, and it benefits me. You know, like I'm doing a lot of work, but I wouldn't have any of the cuts that I have without having done that work.
Maybe you can sort of farm out part of it too and have them contribute to the cause. You know? Like you could send it over to a guitar player or something to put some parts down while you're working on something else, and there might be ways to share that. You know? If you can get what you want from somebody else.
So this is kind of backtracking actually from like the writing and the track and stuff, but I remember reading like once about how you were talking about like the Keith Urban thing that started kind of everything out, and how like overnight suddenly so many people wanted to write with you, and it was like before you were like going place to place trying to find that, but like how was that? Like how was that? That's kind of what I'm asking, I guess. I know like the ASCAP thing worked out and like that got you connected to some writers, but like just that moment, like whoa.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty intense. So what he's talking about is my publishing deal is actually with Keith Urban. Like I'm his only writer, and so what that did for me in town was overnight, like all the writers that wouldn't have written with me before thought, well, hey, this could be a good way to get a Keith Urban cut.
This could be a great
Which didn't
way,
turn out to be true at all. But it was really intense. It was a lot of pressure because they were showing up really not wanting to write with me, but with wanting, that Keith cut or that connection to Keith. And
You're the guy with the hot sister.
Yeah, that's gross. But that's true. And it could have gone very poorly. Like, I tried to look at it before I did any of the writes and like really realize what I was stepping into, because for some of them I was probably not prepared. But the trick with it was like I had to really step up and grow fast, and it was good for me in the long run, but it was really intense. My first year of that publishing deal was insane. Like I wrote with so many different people and it was exhausting, and I really tried to grow and adapt and listen to what everybody was saying, because they would only write with me that first time. If it wasn't good, then I was not going to get another shot to write with any of those people. So it was like good and bad, because I was getting a first impression soon, and that's awesome. But it's also not awesome if it's not a good first impression. So I mean, there was a lot of pressure that went along with it.
Well, you did pretty good.
Oh man, well, I'm sure I didn't do good in all of them, but I tried, like, and just really listened to and watched the way they were writing.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing you can do is like steal, but not steal their work, but like,
learn from them.
yeah, like some of my favorite tricks I've learned and things that I utilize, and just my brain goes to places it didn't used to because of my friends that I write with. I'm like, man, that's what Nicole would do.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do that. And it's, you know, steal is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
just pay attention, because these are people that have written thousands of songs
See what
sometimes.
they do, kind of like when it's like, oh, we might be stuck, but they got the like kind of smart going.
Yeah, or they're
Yeah.
coming from a different angle than you